man with all of Bungie's goddamn lawsuits. This I have no idea. All I know is that there was a whole layoffs and there was all of the lawsuits and whatnot, and now I have no idea what the hell is even going on in Destiny 2. But we're about to
Bungie's
find out.
engaged in a lawsuit right now that I find extremely interesting. And I tickled it a little bit last night on stream, but I want to get into the actual spaghetti and meatballs today. Now, obviously, this isn't
I
Bungie's
like
first
spaghetti and
rodeo
meatballs.
with lawsuits. They've been involved in a couple high profile ones I'm sure a lot of you have heard of, but I wouldn't necessarily call them seasoned veterans that this is just, business as usual. Not like Nintendo, who has more lawsuits than Elon Musk does children. Bungie has few and far between lawsuits, but most of you hear about them, such as like their big one not long ago where they actually had a huge victory over cheat makers, which I think was great. Their current
Ah,
battle, though, has got them fucking stun locked here. They are being sued by a writer who claims that Destiny stole his story for their campaign for Red War and Curse of Osiris. And Bungie is having a
I've heard about this really long ago, actually. I've heard about this really long ago. This was like during the Forsaken times. This was like during 2019. People used to talk about this. They were like, yo, like, it wasn't something that everyone was going crazy about. But I remember people talked about this mildly. It wasn't big. People were saying, people were saying that the whole Cabal story, or and what only the Cabal story. I didn't know Curse of Osiris was copied, but there was whispers left and right of people saying that hey, the Red War was actually a copied story, and no one really believed it because haha, we're having fun with the game, haha. There's no big proof of this and yada yada. And after how long has it been? 6 years? After 6 years, it's finally kicking up. Like that is a little crazy right there. How after 6 years, when at the verge of the game dying, it's getting hit with a big giga lawsuit. And I wouldn't think it was this. This was something you heard whispers about back then. But now it's gone. Now it finally managed to crack the surface.
very difficult time defending themselves here. They can't actually produce the content to prove that they didn't steal from him. Thus, the lawsuit is still ongoing, and they're kind of getting embarrassed because of one simple thing that they have become so accustomed to doing. It's become like a fucking addiction. Sunsetting content. If you've played Destiny,
Okay, sunsetting. I mentioned before there's multiple reasons why I left Destiny 2. And one of the main reasons was sunsetting. Sunsetting was one of the worst possible things that Bungie could have done. And what I mean by this is that, so imagine Warframe. I don't know if you guys ever played Warframe. Imagine Warframe, except in Warframe, we got like the fancy prime weapons and the prime Warframes, right? From time to time, Warframe will vault those primes and weapons, and you will no longer be able to obtain them. However, well, not obtain, you can still obtain them. You can't grind for them is the problem. If you want to obtain that vaulted prime, you must trade for it, basically. You can only obtain it through trading. It's something like camping. No. Here, I'll explain. But yeah, in Warframe, like prime weapons, let's say they're like the one thing that everyone wants, but they vault it. When they vault it, it means you can no longer access it, or you can't grind for it. However, you can still obtain it through trading or other sources and whatnot. You can like buy it basically, which is nice. But like for some players that's nice. For some others, it's like I don't got the time and whatnot. But realistically, you can still just grind your way. You can technically still grind your way to get the prime you want. In Destiny 2, they tried to do this, but in the most extreme wrong way ever. It's like the Disney Vault kind of in a way. But Destiny 2 tried to copy what they did, which was called sunsetting, where they take our weapons and they like just they don't make them obtainable anymore. this was where they made the first wrong decision, because what they did instead was they completely voided your weapon from being usable. So what I mean by this is, let's say in the previous Destiny season, I had this really cool gun that I've used for literally 3 years, and then Bungie suddenly hits me with, yeah, we're sunsetting this. And I was like, oh, okay, so what? My gun's just not gonna be obtainable anymore? And instead of that, not only is my gun not obtainable anymore, which I had no issues with, because, you know, it's my gun. I love my gun. I like the rolls I got. I like the god roll I had on it. I grinded my heart and effort into getting it. No, instead of the gun not being obtainable, they made it completely useless. They made every other gun they release more useful than the gun I grinded my soul off for. So my Go Figure, I think that's what it was called, my Go Figure pulse rifle was fucking useless. That thing had more than 20,000 kills on it. That gun had more than 20,000 kills on it, and Bungie just shot it to death. Hey Solon, how's it going? We're talking about the Bungie lawsuit, and I'm giving a quick Bungie history lesson right here. Yeah, but yeah, Mono, this is my gun. There are many like it, but this one is mine. Bungie, actually no, exactly. I was like one of the only guys that really loved the Go Figure, and I did so amazing with it in Crucible. But then Bungie destroyed it. After Bungie destroyed it, I did shit in Crucible. I was like, dude, you just took my #1 weapon. And I hated having to resort to like the cheap ass weapons, like fucking the Jotun and all that crap back then, whenever that everyone was using. Dude, I loved my Go Figure, and Bungie shot it to death.
You're familiar with this, and it's not just Destiny. Other games also take content out of the game over time, but Destiny takes entire paid things that you bought with your own claim.
Exactly.
Take it out of the game and vault it. Now we're gonna do like
vault it. With quotation marks, vault it. No, they try to Thanos it.
Full dive in here, like an actual colonoscopy on this case with everything we know right now. But I just want to give you the gist here. One of the things they vaulted is the entirety of the campaign for Destiny 2 when you first bought the game.
That was another mega mistake they made. So when I bought Forsaken, how much was Forsaken with all the DLC? It was like 120 Canadian. And I played them, tried them all the way, loved them. Years later, it's gone. It's gone. Like they took away the product I paid for. Like back then, here's the thing. Back then, not so many of us really complained, because it was just the fact that, like, oh, Bungie, they keep feeding us new content. Yeah, we love this. Yeah, we'll keep eating all this new content you're giving us and whatnot. Yeah, right? Now that the game is shit, they're just taking away whatever that we don't like, and they're just like shoving it in a vault or whatever, quote unquote vault. No, they literally took away the game that you paid for at first.
Red War. I have bitched about that for the longest time now, that the campaign you bought when this game came out is no longer in the game at all and is completely inaccessible to the players. I think that is an unbelievably ridiculous concept, but I'm not going to just rant and rave about that like a lunatic again. But the community had always been...
He's not going to rant about it, but I'm going to rant about it. Red War was peak. It was peak. It was a really good campaign. It wasn't like the best one. It wasn't like as godly as Forsaken was, but it was so good. Like when everyone like jumped on Destiny 2 by Red War, it was amazing. Best campaign ever. But now that that's taken away, like it almost feels like you just took one of the biggest memories of every sole dedicated Destiny 2 player. So why did they take it away? Why? Well, like no one asked for you to be taken away. There's a lot of Destiny players that are willing to sacrifice the amounts of terabytes in their storage just to play your game. But it was stupid when they removed it. It was stupid. It felt like they took a part of your childhood away, basically.
Under the impression that when content like Red War is vaulted, Bungie themselves can still access it. Like, they haven't just, poofed it out of existence like some kind of fairy godparents took care of it. They haven't just erased it from the corporeal realm. But it turns out that is the case. Bungie has openly admitted they also can't access the content anymore in this lawsuit. They actually can't even get their paws on it either, thus they can't really defend their claims of innocence against the copyright claims. It's a mess. Like, they actually have just banished it to the fucking shadow realm here. Anyway, the lawsuit...
Those idiots. Great. Okay, so they apparently made the Red War vanish. I guess the Red War's history now. The Red War's history now. Oh my god. It does remind me how in Destiny 2, when I started a new character, it doesn't start your new character out in a Red War. Not to mention that godly soundtrack that the Red War had at the beginning when the last city got taken over. That sad, most epic soundtrack I've heard in Destiny. I think it's like legit one of the best soundtracks I loved in Destiny 2. And I forgot what the soundtrack was called. It was like it was a really long Journey. That's what it was called. Journey. Like, if you listen to the start of it, you can see what I mean. Such a beautiful ass soundtrack, dude. Like, I wish I can play the whole thing, but I don't want to get copyright. So, but I'm just saying that this soundtrack was like one of the biggest key things in the entire series. 8.6 million views. I commented on this 6 years ago! Holy shit! Oh my god! I commented on this 6 years ago! This music always reminded me of Cade. But every hunter main will only use Ace of Spades to carry his soul and sun with them. Oh my god. I commented on this 6 years ago. Oh my god. That's actually pretty wild. Oh my god. But yeah, like I said, this soundtrack was one of the best soundtracks everyone loved. I think it's like probably the most popular soundtrack aside from some other soundtracks. 8.6 million views. Everyone loved this theme song. It was the best. I love when that happens. Yeah, like I said, it's 6 years ago. That's when I exactly got into Destiny 2. It was the best. Oh my god. But yeah, let's get back to the Moist video. Jesus.
It was started by a writer named Matthew Kelsey Martineau, and he worked under the pseudonym Casper Cole, and he published a story on his blog that he claims was stolen by Bungie for the Red War and Curse of Osiris story elements. Most notably, Red Legion, he's saying, was taken directly from his writings. Other shared elements mentioned between Red War and the DLC Curse of Osiris are things like celestial object hovering over Earth, war beasts, and more. From what I can find, Casper Cole had this published on his WordPress in 2013, 2014-ish, and this lawsuit was filed last year. Guessing he's not a big first-person shooter fan, must have not played any Destiny until then. But I'm gonna tell you, buckle up, sports fans, might be a hot take. There's nothing I see listed here that seems unique to Casper Cole's writing. A celestial object hovering over Earth, flamethrowers being used, and emergency failsafes. Like, come on, that's all pretty generic sci-fi shit. That's like getting mad that another shooter also has bullets in the game. To me, that seems completely like a non-issue. That doesn't scream, copyright infringement, plagiarism. Now, if you want to talk about the names, like War Beasts and Red Legion being exactly the same, I still think that's a moot point because those aren't really unique names either, especially considering Destiny. The name of everything in that game is basically just like a title or like a caveman naming it. The Traveler, the Witness, the Left Shoe, the Accountant, the Bath Master, War Bath, Bath War. Like, that's kind of just the whole naming scheme of that game. So Red Legion and War Beast, that doesn't scream that they stole something from this guy. There is nothing that I've seen listed in this lawsuit that makes me actually
it's like
think
that
Bungie
Coldplay
stole from this guy's fucking WordPress
Viva
in 2013,
La Vida lawsuit
2014 to make the Destiny storyline. But the timing of this lawsuit could not be better for Casper Cole because Bungie themselves can't combat it. They are unable to produce the content that they are being accused of stealing because they don't have access to it themselves. Bungie archived the original code that comprised the Red War and Curse of Osiris campaigns known as legacy builds, according to Tyson Green. However, the Red War and Curse of Osiris legacy builds can no longer run because their outdated code is incompatible with Destiny 2's underlying operational framework, which has evolved considerably since the Red War and Curse of Osiris campaigns were retired. As a result, Bungie cannot feasibly provide the court with the original Destiny 2 game as it existed in 2017, including the accused Red War and Curse of Osiris campaigns in any operable or reviewable form, nor will Bungie be able to produce the accused campaigns in operable or reviewable form if this matter proceeds to formal discovery. So after they put them on the bench, took them out behind the barn and put them down, they no longer can get them back because they've updated the game too much. So
it's kind of similar to what let's say it's kind of similar to what like Ultra Kill did when they said their code was so shit that they literally had to redo their entire game. They literally had to recode their entire game in order for it to not be so spaghetti and hard to work on. What Bungie did was that they decided to move the Red War out of the game, and they just upgraded the content and they upgraded the code without the Red War. So therefore, Red War can no longer belong in Destiny 2 because they've decided to upgrade the game completely with Red War just completely outside of it. So they just completely cucked the game. Well, not the game, sorry. They didn't cuck the game. They cucked Red War.
Actually get the game again. So, when they made a motion to dismiss this case, they were basically showing up with their pants down. They had nothing to show. So what they relied on was YouTube videos. And not just YouTube videos, wiki pages as well. Bungie insisted the attached videos are the best possible way for the court to review the accused work. Exhibit B was a 10-hour lore video put together by a YouTuber named My Name is Biff. Banger video, by the way. Exhibit C was a cutscene compilation, again put together by a fan, which is 2 hours and 40 minutes long. But the judge, Susie Morgan, she wasn't playing ball with it. She was not pleased with this maneuver, and it was not sufficient. So she denied this motion to dismiss. The court will not consider the exhibits attached to defendant's motion to dismiss and will not convert the defendant's motion to dismiss to a motion for summary judgment. There has not been sufficient time for discovery, and the attachments are admittedly of third-party origination. Their authenticity has not been established.
I was about to say, technically YouTube could save them because, once again, like, Red War, yeah, you can't, well, if you can't play Red War, you can only look up videos of it. Not to mention, I remember before I became a VTuber, I just had like some PlayStation live stream videos. They're not there anymore, but I do remember I did play Red War live. I do remember I played Red War live, and dude, once again, such a beautiful campaign. But once again, you can no longer find history of it. You can no longer not history of it. Sorry, you can no longer play the game anymore. It's just gone. It's gone. You can no longer have the great experience that Destiny 2 players had in the beginning, which is stupid. So now it's just now that they're facing off this, it's almost like they got nothing. They got nothing but the history videos. Not to mention the lore enthusiasts, dude. There were so many crazy lore fanatics on Destiny 2. You could even obtain a title in Destiny 2 stating that you are a lore freak. It is actually insane. People will go to lengths to get that title, not to mention how hard it is to get that title. You like if when you saw, I think the title you got was Scholar. So if you saw someone who had the title Scholar on their name, you knew that was a crazy ass lore enthusiast of Destiny 2.
Basically, Bungie brought piss to a shit fight here, and the judge was not having it. She said, "I'm not watching these video essays. You scram with this. Wipe it in your ass and get out of the court with this." Thus, the lawsuit is proceeding. The case is going forward. And I really don't know what Bungie is going to do. They are adamant that it can't be restored, which is pretty mind-boggling to me. I don't know how they wouldn't have like backups of previous builds of the engine or something just for a case like this, to be honest, where you need an older build of the engine or the framework so that way you could restore these things should you ever want to down the line, especially with things like remasters and remakes being so commonplace. It just makes sense to me that you would still have something like that. But I'm just a fucking idiot with a tiny little reptile brain, so maybe I'm on the crack pipe with that too. But what I think I'm 100% in the right on here is that it is ridiculous to be vaulting content in the first place if there is no means ever of getting it back. That is paid content. People paid for that. I paid for that when it came out. And I haven't been able to play it for 5 years and will likely never be able to play it again. Same with everybody else on the fucking planet, it seems. I don't really know what the next move is for Bungie. Maybe they'll start submitting goddamn Let's Plays to the courts or something. Like, here, check this out. Look how much fun they're having. No mention of Casper Cole anywhere. That no one's picking up on the similarities. Check it out. Like, I don't know. They're going to have to find a way to actually get the campaign back. But, again, I'm not a lawyer either. I feel like Casper Cole's team would probably then make a case that it's been altered. I'm not trying to go like full anime protagonist here, like it's JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Season 2. Next, you're going to say it's been altered. But I feel like that'd be the natural evolution of the argument here in this case. Because if Bungie somehow does produce a reviewable and operable Red War or Curse of Osiris campaign to present to the courts, who's to say they haven't just taken out the offending material of the lawsuit that it points out? Right? Like, they've already said they cannot do it. So if somehow they're able to miraculously do it, would that not raise eyebrows about, like, well, can we trust this? It's fucking fascinating. It's a real brain buster here with the pickle that Bungie finds themselves in. So the YouTube links and everything weren't even considered here because in the initial filing, well, Martineau, I don't exactly know how to say his last name, I'll be honest. That's why I've been calling him Casper Cole. Casper Cole never made any mention of like YouTube or wiki links, so they didn't even consider it. It was deemed like off limits, kind of, I guess. And then Judge Morgan also pointed out that the case is actually pretty complicated, even when Bungie cited previous rulings, saying this case would require a much more complicated side-by-side analysis, even if the court had access to a complete version of Destiny 2. She also noted how the game and the written work aren't even in the same format. Rather than compare a brief movie scene and a copyright for a pinball machine, it appears the defendant is asking the court to compare a collection of short writings to 13 plus hours of third-party originated YouTube videos of Destiny 2 and several third-party originated online Destinypedia pages. Now, if you've got your thinking caps on, to me, there seems to be like a really glaring thing that I haven't seen pointed out in any of the articles. How the fuck is Casper Cole making these arguments in the first place if there is no Red War or Curse of Osiris to compare to anymore anyway? Like, how is he able to reference these things? I'm assuming the only way he'd be able to make these comparisons, since, again, the Red War and Curse of Osiris don't actually exist in the game anymore, is he would be comparing it to YouTube videos and shit. That'd be the only way. While he might not have directly referenced them.
That is true. Like, how else is he? Like, it's almost kind of saying, hey, they stole my work, but it also doesn't exist anymore. So technically, he is saying that it's all on YouTube now and Wikipedia. Now he's launching the lawsuit. So like, was this planned? Maybe was he just waiting for them to take the game away so they had no evidence that they like really kind of owned the content or whatever the hell? That's what I'm just assuming. Was he just waiting for an opportunity?
In the lawsuit, there is no possible way for him to even be making these comparisons in the first place without that. So it is in a weird spot to me because, again, there is nothing there for Red War or Curse of Osiris. They've already blinked it out. Like it's gone. So even Casper Cole, when making these arguments, is making them against a fucking ghost. There isn't a Red War or Curse of Osiris campaign that is playable and reviewable that he is making these comparisons to. So it's a bit weird for sure. Now, at the end of the day, do I think Bungie stole his work, like copied his story beats for Destiny? Absolutely not. There is nothing I've seen listed here that screams plagiarism or anything like that. I also just highly doubt they would go to a random WordPress from 2013 and 2014 and start taking directly from it to make the Destiny campaign. That just seems so incredibly unlikely to me. But in Bungie's incompetence here, when it comes to vaulting and sunsetting, they have really shot themselves in the foot. Anyway, I just had to talk about this a bit. It seems like a pretty complicated case. If this was going to be an easy slam dunk W for Bungie here, a little dubski in the court of law against the copyright claims, probably would have been thrown out on this first motion to dismiss. So now I think it's going to get a little sticky. But maybe not. Maybe they have a trick up their sleeve. Again, I'm a fucking idiot, so who really knows? But I just found it very fascinating.
There's only like two things I see here. Well, no, realistically, one thing. Like, he's correct about the whole. He's making a lawsuit against a ghost. So basically, what you said, yeah. He's legit making a lawsuit against a ghost. Something that's gone. It's dead. So I can see why this is completely complicated because it's just gone. So, like I said, this has to be either planned or he's just doing this because he saw an opportunity and he just wants more money. That's it. Because realistically, I don't see any normal, sane person just filing a lawsuit against something like this. Let's be honest, but Bungie is already 6 feet under the grave. Or like, sorry, yeah, no, they're 6 foot under the dirt, because after all they've done, and now they're facing a lawsuit. So realistically, if they even manage to get out of this lawsuit, they're still in extremely dirty water. Or if they lose the lawsuit, then what? I guess they just lose money, or they lose like I don't know. They like I don't know what would happen. I mean, it has to be for money, otherwise there's no logic. Yeah, this just shouts that I'm gonna sue you guys over something that no longer exists, and I'm just gonna want money out of it. That's it. Yep, it's all about money in the end of the day. So it's like I almost have nothing to say to this because once again, Bungie has been completely in the dirt hole for like so long, ever since like Witch Queen or whatnot. So there's nothing really left, or like Beyond Light. I would say the game just started going downfall, and yeah, there's already many people like making videos about it. There's someone who's saying the Destiny lawsuit just got interesting. Proof denied of the Red War. Basically, yeah, I was about to say, I guess like that, like, once again, if you just look up D2 Red War campaign, you'll only find, yep, years ago. So, yeah, D2, the Red War campaign 4 years ago. The Red War cutscene 4 years ago. Red War campaign 2 years ago. Holy. And then there's just all the new stuff. The Red War campaign 4 years ago. Destiny 2 full story 7 years ago when it first released. Oh, look, there's me. It's all just it's history now, basically. You can no longer access it. So yeah, there's already people mentioning that it's just deleted off history. So once again, I don't think we're ever getting Red War back unless they recode it and they go through the effort of, matching Red War with their code. So who knows? Who knows? The future of Destiny 2 is still under the dirt. This game is still dying much more harder than ever. Honestly, I feel like if I ever hear so much positive stuff about Bungie coming back, then I'll probably just come back to D2 just for shits and giggles and see what they've done. And that's about it. But yeah, this game is cooked. They are cooketh.